Hello there, a warm welcome. Thank you for joining us for this live broadcast. It's 9 o'clock and you're right in time for Business Today. Before we kickstart our bulletin tonight, here's a quick look at our headlines. In Business Today, President Museveni has discouraged electricals and second-hand clothes imports, while 16 more factories are opened in Mbale Industrial Park. New Year raises red flag on substandard salt. Parliament tasks Trade Ministry to investigate as Kasita urges certification. More in Business Today, land grabbing cartels push Ministry of Lands and Pelham to partake rights awareness. Inclusive production and development are considered as mineral-rich areas are prioritized. You're welcome once again. I'm Rana Habwe. Now in Business Today, the 7th High-Level Economic Forum has unleashed key reform proposals from stakeholders such as CSBAG, International Growth Center and PSFU to improve the country's dire productivity and growth. While legislators and economists seek cutting public expenditure by downsizing Parliament and Cabinet, PSFU and CSBAG have called for tax review and priority funding. We have details.
Uganda is still fumbling with less productivity and low per capita growth, characteristic in sub-Saharan Africa, having sat at negative 8.42% in 2020, only to pick up in 2021 and fall to 3.64% last year. Finance Ministry's deep dive into strategies to strengthen the country's competitiveness for growth has attracted key recommendations from stakeholders. Dr. John Mutenyo, a profound economist, has recommended public sector reforms such as efforts to improve trade balance and downsize cabinet in light of constrained public finance.
For instance, do we need that cabinet of over 80 ministers to discuss small poor country? Do we need over 140 districts where each district basically relies on the central government for funding? So simple. If a district cannot raise over 60-70% of its revenue, it should be merged with another district. Do we need over 500 members of parliament? Okay, compare with other developed countries like the US, even 100 members who are voting. Okay, then do you need ministries like you say Kampala, Karamoja, Luwero? I don't know, for over 20 years they have been minister of Luwero. What development? What have they done?
The cost of public administration is very high. This country cannot afford to have a parliament of 555 MPs or 81 ministers or 147 districts. So given the size of our GDP and the revenue that we earn and the problems that we have in terms of our level of our debt, it is now high time we had a clear patriotic look at the cost of public administration. So there is a member of parliament who is bringing in a private member's bill, seeking leave of parliament to introduce that bill that would downsize parliament. I am a seconder of that bill.
Despite different projects oft in the current budget presumed to be priorities, Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group contends with the fact that the country needs to reform the funding pattern and look into key multiplier effect investments to support growth.
So the questions of efficiency are very important, and things that can bring returns to government are very critical. So I think this meeting by the end of tomorrow needs to address that. How efficiently can we deploy our resources? One solution I provide is on the issue of marketing Ugandan products. As long as we do not know the requirements of the market, our export strategy is not going to work. We need to understand that markets demand a particular type of product, and that is the product we should tell our farmers to produce. So if you just produce beans anyhow, and then there is no market for them, definitely you won't be able to promote your products abroad. So it's important that government invests in the marketing of Ugandan products beyond our neighbors, and that's our biggest problem.
Sub-Saharan Africa is still struggling with revenue mobilization at an average below 20% with exclusion of grants. While the International Growth Center further highlights the task at hand, the private sector has denoted regressive taxes that have stifled SME growth.
With presumptive tax is that it is selective. What is happening now is that if you are organized, then you'll be charged. For example, if you are a dairy farmer and you are selling to a dairy factory, the tax people know where to find you and they will come and find you there. But if you are in the same area, same village, and I'm doing dairy, I'll pay the tax. But if you are doing beef, you are fattening bulls and you sell them every week during those weekly markets where they sell cattle, you won't be taxed. So why is it selective? That is number one. Number two, how did they decide that it should be 20%? 20% of what? Of gross? Of the word here being presumptive. That's what they presume. Most of those people setting the taxes are not farmers or farmers' daughters. So even the whole which you have before they take out the 20% is not known. So what we are saying is, let us sit down with these farmers who did not go to school but paid for everybody to go to school and end up working with Uganda Revenue Authority and agree on how to levy these taxes.
While the Finance Ministry and key stakeholders such as IGC, CSOs and private sector players dig into better mechanisms to up the country's competitiveness for growth, cross-cutting concerns go beyond market challenges to further question how Uganda's fiscal and monetary policies are coordinating to aid transformation. Ivan Tivenkana, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Let's now look at import substitution. East Africa is on course to limiting import reliance on products such as second-hand clothes, just as it recently was in Tanzania. President Museveni has discouraged second-hand clothes in an attempt to support the local textile industry. While commissioning 16 more factories at Mbare Industrial Park, he also directed that effective first next month, no more electrical cables and meters should be imported. We have more.
President Museveni has reignited his push to completely ban second-hand clothes from being imported into the country. He made the announcement shortly after commissioning 16 new factories in the Sino-Uganda Mbale Industrial Park, some of which are involved in the manufacturing of clothes.
Ekigambo kyengoye enkadde kubanga zigenda mundabye wali nkute engoye zammwe zemukolera wano bali abaana bali bensanze wali 2,000 abamu bakola engoye ziri awo mpya tukutuku naye tezisobola kuyingira mu katale kubanga engoye z'abafu ze zijjidde mu katale. N'olwekyo bannange ate temugamba nti Museveni ataamye, mwena mukkirize mugambe nti ebigoye ebikadde byali bya Idi Amin, bye bye. Kati tukole engoye abaana bakola mu ngoye baludda uje wano mu maaso.
The president, on the other hand, has thanked the Chinese investors for reviving Uganda's textile industry. According to him, the investors have given him the strength to rid the country of second-hand clothes, also known as mivumba.
I want to thank the investors who invested in the textiles, because now they have given me strength to chase away second-hand clothes. Because there is nobody who will stand in my way when he sees this picture of these children here who have got jobs from textile factories and then start arguing in favor of second-hand clothes.
The Buy Uganda Build Uganda was approved by Cabinet in 2014 to promote consumption and procurement of goods and services produced within the country, but the policy has not been implemented since, which the President has criticized.
Our people here, our investors, are making meters and cables of electricity. Instead of buying from them, bagala nnyo okusaka z'ebweru kati mulwa okuswala bannange abantu bammwe beewuunyisa. Therefore, I have ordered all these government bodies, they must buy these meters from starting 1st of September. The Minister of Energy is here. The cables, the meters must be bought from our factories here and the ones in Kampala. Anybody who does not would have to go and look after his goats or chicken at home.
The chairperson of the Kampala City Traders Association, Thaddeus Musoke, has, however, called on President not to rush this decision because the second-hand clothes business employs many Ugandans who are as well paying taxes to government. Thaddeus adds that the majority of Ugandans are low-income earners who can only afford second-hand clothes.
To the President, we are organizing a petition to make sure they don't rush to implement such a strategy. Let the government engage different stakeholders to find a fair position in this. We think that the government, if it rushes, it would have error. And we leaders in the business community, we cannot allow that. We are ready to engage the government. We are having several petitions and different stakeholders we're engaging to make sure we protect our comrades who have invested heavily in this business. Secondly, we are protecting Ugandans. Majority of Ugandans cannot afford brand new quality clothes because they are so costly. And the fact is that the standards of living are so high, most of the little earned money is spent on essentials. So we don't have even the capacity to make sure that entices these our Ugandans to buy brand new clothes. So let the government be slow on this. Let us have several engagements and then we find a fair position.
Earlier in 2017, when Uganda first tried to ban second-hand clothes, it faced threats from the United States government following a petition filed by Secondary Materials and Recycled Textiles, a leading exporter of second clothing in the United States. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, away from that, while artificial intelligence brings on new skills and expertise, which firms might not have, and organizations adopting it to enhance efficiency, reduce work costs and ensure work safety, from ICDL's perspective, workforce, education and society are interlinked, and artificial intelligence is key with elements such as cloud computing and seamless operations. Now, a long-standing question on the looming threat of artificial intelligence remains in focus with human labor questioned. We have details.
As organizations strive to stay ahead in an ever-evolving landscape, the need for new skills and expertise has become more apparent than ever before. Through immersive learning experiences, students gain hands-on knowledge, enabling them to contribute meaningfully to the ever-expanding digital economy. Skills in artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and website design were learned. Dan of ICDL aims to cultivate digitally competent youth for the inevitable wave of digital transformation, recognizing their pivotal role in shaping the future workforce.
Website and how to modify and edit a website. In one of our other modules, which is cloud computing, I learned how data is stored online on websites such as Google Cloud, and also how it is made able for us to store our own data and make our own websites and applications on these types of.
So my name's Priscilla Bigalatek. I'm from Friends International Christian Academy, and I've been a tech person since I was a child, right? But I didn't know how to grow those likes. So yeah, I'd help my mom do this, I'd help my dad do this, but I didn't know how to grow that love for tech until I met, we call him Uncle Dan, until I met him, and he gave me a platform to grow that love for technology. And being here has made me see that, yeah, of course I love tech, but then there are other things that I can venture in during the tech business. And I guess in the holiday, the one thing I want to keep doing and learning is cloud computing. It's something that I really didn't pay much attention to when we were preparing for this final round, and I'm like, oh, there's so much in cloud computing that I can use.
Even vision as ICDL is that we were able to build a future workforce of entrepreneurs through these young men and women that are undergoing these digital skills training and competitions. We can surely see that from our own experience and conversations we've had with these students, some of them are telling us how they're in their grade 5s, grade 6, but they've built applications that communities are already paying for. And so what does this tell you? That the future of Uganda, we all know that the biggest percentage of Ugandans are youth. So if we can equip our youth force now, then we're able to be very, very secure in the future, that we will not be struggling with the physical space because we have cyberspace, and we'll be able to market our products there and be able to leverage on the market space that is available at the global standard. We can all surely understand that starting with what we have now, if they're able to utilize the space, we've had the conversations that they're giving you, they're able to learn cloud computing and artificial intelligence.
Trade, industry and cooperatives has been directed by Parliament to respond to the substandard salt circulating the market in parts of newer districts. The directive follows outcry from the District Member of Parliament, Honorable Okero Geoffrey, who informed the August House about the existence of questionable type of salt, presumably sourced from Kenya. The commodity in question is reportedly contradicts with consumer protection as it is insoluble. Meanwhile, Kasita has chipped in to emphasize certification of market products. Samra Hanifa has more.
Substandard products consist of both locally manufactured and imported products. The proliferation of counterfeit products on the market has resulted into revenue loss to government. Locals in Nwea district have been consuming substandard salt, which does not dissolve properly, raising concerns from the public.
Last Friday, 18th of August this year, I received complaints from my constituents of Nwea East about the salt that they are now consuming, which they claim do not dissolve 100%. When this salt is dissolved in water, Honorable Speaker, it leaves a white substance which is tasteless, and they doubt the safety and the quality of this salt. Mr. Speaker, sir, I looked at the packet, the 500 grams packet of that salt, and it is branded Abari salt. It has certification of KEBS, but it doesn't have certification from UNBS. My prayers that the Minister of Trade, Trade Industry and Cooperatives do investigate the quality of this salt, especially about this.
Where people are consuming a suspected substandard product. So really, if you take it up seriously, by the end of this weekend, you could have even gotten results. So that on Tuesday or Wednesday, you bring a statement on the floor, because this is a product which can go nationwide, or some other parts of the country have not yet known the standards related to it. Okay? So on Wednesday, please bring a statement on the floor regarding that.
According to the Shadow Minister for Water and Environment, most of the salt on the Ugandan market is imported, some of which is not certified by the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, which is problematic for the country.
And the Lake Ekato Salt Factory, for over 3 decades, is down. So it is becoming very difficult to get UNBS certified salt here if we don't address that other side. So my procedural issue would be for the minister to first ensure that at least the extraction of salt from our rich natural resources is put to use. Otherwise, the other remedy is very difficult.
Government, together with Kampala City Traders Association, have on several occasions urged traders to avoid purchasing goods which are not certified by UNBS, but you find that these are the cheapest and the most available on Ugandan markets.
Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, we will take up that matter. We will pick the samples, test them, but also pursue those who are producing it so that it does not come to the market. And use this opportunity to appeal to the population that please, anything that is not marked with UNBS, if possible, do not buy it. Do not buy it. We are trying as much as possible, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that products which are not certified by UNBS don't go to the market. But sometimes they pass through a lot of panyas and go to the market. So we want to appeal to the population that please, you are the first law enforcement officer for your health.
Kasita is to make several partnerships. So we went into partnership with National Bureau of Standards. And already we have a special desk of quality and standards at Kasita Secretariat. So we are working closely with National Bureau of Standards to make sure that what our traders can avail to the market is of good standard, of good quality. And because we find that we cannot compromise standards, they have different and very serious effects to our health. So as Kasita, we cannot at all promote and standardized products on the market. What we are going to do, we are going to send a team. We are working in partnership with Private Sector Foundation and Chamber of Commerce, Uganda Chamber of Commerce, and then Ministry of Trade to make sure we analyze exactly the source of this unstandardized salt on the market. And we are going to advise our traders, let us not just purchase cheap salt, because by that it has several repercussions.
The laws regulating consumer protection are still scattered. A consumer protection law is necessary not only to protect consumers against fraud, but also qualitatively deficient goods and services. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Business Today will now take a short break. We will return after this. Stay with us.
Smart 24, driving business. Luxury redefined at Seasand Hotel has you endowed in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasand Hotel, so visit today at Plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasand Hotels, luxury redefined.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest. Smart 24, driving business.
Watching Business Today, and thank you so much for sticking with us. Government is set to foot the bill and help residents in land secure titles for their property in what seems like a long shot. At the fall of last year, 561 land fraud cases were recorded by Uganda Police, an increase from 319 in 2020. With Land Awareness Week designed to promote rights and inclusion for development, the Lands Ministry has, together with key stakeholders, taken the drive to Lango Sub-region, one of the strongholds of conflict, powered by a customer retainer system in 5-day marathon ending next month. We have details.
Owing to the fact that land is highly factored in production, the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, together with partners such as Caritas, Pelham and others, have taken the land awareness drive to Lango sub-region, currently one of the most land conflict-ridden areas, driven by customary land ownership. Together, the pact intends to promote inalienable land rights and inclusion for production and development.
The law 2023 is aimed at strengthening the capacity of farming communities, landowners, and users, including women, youth, and persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable groups on their land rights and obligations for effective engagement in land governance and environmental observation at local and national levels. This is achieved through information dissemination of the policy and regulatory framework on land and environment.
According to Uganda Police 2022 crime report, land fraud cases rose from 319 in 2020 to 561 just last year. From the report, 23 cases were taken to court, 538 are under inquiry, and 150 sent to the Directorate of Public Prosecution. 104 cases were on fraudulent acquisition of certificates of titles, registration, and obtaining money by false pretense. 66 on criminal trespass, 39 on forgery, 34 regarding fraud on sale.
We now shift to the yardstick for the money economy. At the fall of the 7th High-Level Economic Forum, where the Finance Ministry brought together key stakeholders to delve into the first economic growth strategies, Uganda Export Promotions Board and the Economic Policy Research Center have proposed key areas on how to drive the troubled PDM should be titled to meet the intended transformation goals. Solomon Mogisa has more.
At the fall of the two-day Economic Forum, where deliberations to fasten Uganda's economic growth have been discussed, the Economic Policy Research Center has laid benchmarks for the success of the troubled parish development model that the government envisions to lift subsistence Ugandans into the money economy.
First is the issue of opportunities, and that is what he talked about. Without the right market, the list of market opportunities where these farmers are going to sell, then you get it wrong. Because recall, value chain is not something you're thinking of at the best. Value chain is thinking big, and you're thinking money. So it's not something you're going to throw in there in PDM to hide that you're going to connect farmers to markets. But without first listing where these market opportunities for the 18 commodities that NPS sets forth. Of course, as a PRC, we have said there are too many, too many to deal with. But of course, the NPS said that Federal EPRC had proposed only a few. They need to include in some more to see how best to go about it. But the value chain needs to be very focused, very opportunistic, to ensure that this money flows into the pockets of these farmers and households. So first, you need to speak to these supermarkets. Those are some of the market opportunities. The hotel operators, this is what we have. And I think that's what even Dr. Secretary talked about. Local, before you even think out. Because we didn't think out when we expanded the production base. So in the schools, these are opportunities we have. The local traders, even upon your way, before I made steel operation, that's part of the market, the wholesaler, in terms of aggregating.
Uganda Exports Promotions Board Executive Director Eli Twineo has maintained the relentless essence of the program, having been built to transform the subsistence population, pulling the monetary aspect. Value of the project will have been unfortunate at the first of its time frame.
The parish development model is intended to monetize the economy, to commercialize the economy, to get people who are working for their own stomachs out of subsistence. And then they can make money and the economy can grow. If we don't achieve this, then the parish development model, according to me, will have failed.
At the backdrop of several trade standoffs, for instance, the South Sudan on gain and Kenya persistently on milk, the dairy sector has sustained setbacks where the macroeconomic insights suggest immense support to aid regional and better revenues as intra-East African cooperation trade remains low in light of trade barriers, including the non-tariff barriers, despite a 30% growth.
Last year, or in the past 5 years, milk production in Uganda has increased by about 30%. And last year, for example, Uganda produced about 3.2 billion liters of milk. And this is important for food security and poverty. In terms of consumption, milk consumption in Uganda is increasing. And this is important and expected to increase further as the population increases and as more people get richer. And this shows a growing market for the sector as we invest in the parishes. In terms of export, dairy export last year was worth around $103 million USD. and this represents close to 90% of total livestock export in Uganda, which makes the sector quite important for economic growth. And the sector employs over 100,000 people, making it central for poverty reduction in Uganda.
Despite failures in the program implementation, effective implementation intends to achieve market linkages, access to vital information, and improving rural infrastructure, eventually empowering the agro-industry.
Moving on to the BRICS Summit 2023, conclusion of the BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa, saw interesting developments and addition of the 6 extra members to the bloc. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Argentina, and 2 other states have been given the green light to join the bloc. More concerns addressed a single currency as attempts to dethrone the US dollar are maintained, plus industrialization and infrastructure development. More details, this report.
Infrastructure development and industrialization have been high on the agenda during this year's BRICS Heads of State Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa, where Cyril Ramaphosa, the South African president, has called on the international business community to invest in the continent, leveraging on the available abundant resources, reiterating a call by other African leaders to avoid the export of raw materials.
Africa is a continent of great opportunity in industrialization process in a variety of sectors. This continent is rich in the critical minerals that will drive business success in the 21st century. The continent has resources of lithium, vanadium, cobalt, platinum, palladium, nickel, copper, rare earth minerals, rhodium, and many others. And these are the minerals that are bound and are driving economic activity across the world. African countries have made it clear that the investors of choice are those who will come and invest in our continent, but also process the resources here close to source, so that African countries do not export rock and sand, but export finished products as we would like to do. The success of the African Continental Free Trade Area will require a massive investment in infrastructure. We need to mobilize the substantial financing that is needed to build the roads, the ports, the rail, energy and telecommunications network that will enable industrialization and trade.
The 5-member bloc seeks to have a single currency to be used alongside local currencies while pushing for the de-dollarization in trade amongst each other. Brazil's trade with African countries, which is only at 3.5%, dropped by 1/3 in 2022 compared to 2013, and President Lula da Silva says the country would want to see a return to the continent. While despite being heavily sanctioned, Russia's economy has reportedly taken over that of Germany to become the 5th largest world economy by purchasing power parity, according to the World Bank, which is a true manifestation of the drivers of this bloc that has more members waiting to join.
To grow again and drive development, we need to ensure more credibility, predictability, and legal certainty, as well as political and social certainty for the private sector. For this reason, I have advocated the idea of greater financial integration, where we could have a new reference unit which would not replace our national currencies.
The trade volume with the BRICS partners has increased by 40.5% and reaching the record of 230, even more than 230 billion. And the first half of this year, it grew by 35.6% as compared with the same period in 2022, and it reached $134.7 billion. I would also like to point out that the share of the BRICS countries, with their population totally more of 3 billion people, now accounts to nearly 26% of the global GDP. And our 5 countries are ahead of G7 in terms of purchasing power parity, with 35.1% against 30% forecast for 2023. The objectives and irreversible process of de-dollarization of our economic ties is gaining pace. We are working to fine-tune effective mechanisms of mutual settlements and monetary and financial control. As a result, the share of US dollar export and import operations within BRICS is declining.
Over the years, the BRICS nations have demonstrated their commitment to promoting a multipolar world order and enhancing the influence of the emerging economies on the global stage, attracting the entry of new members. Cyril Ramaphosa, who is also the current chairman, announced the admission of 6 new nations that include Argentina, Ethiopia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Iran.
We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of BRICS. The membership will take effect from the 1st of January 2024.
Stuart Jacon, Smart 24 Television, Business Today.
Still on the international scene, Canada is grappling with high mortgage costs as sections of citizens attribute this to the government policy on international students. Residents believe the student influx has influenced high market prices, as a study by the Canadian Market Research and Analytics company gives more details.
In a rare move, Canadian legislature is considering placing a cap on the number of students that are admitted into the country, much to the Premier's contradiction. This comes after a market housing crisis which has been attributed to student influx. In the same regard, the city's gained urban character in the past few decades, attracting migration. Demand has increased, creating a shortage of affordable housing. According to a survey by private firms such as Ledger, a marketing agency, revealed that more and more Canadians are growing weary with the high rental costs, with more incentives needed to change most owners' views.
Feeling mortgage pain or rental pain. That means they're worried almost on a daily basis about the ability to afford their rent at the end of the month or their mortgage at the end of the month.
We're going to continue to be the open, welcoming, prosperous and growing country we've always been.
Justin Trudeau later urged during a retreat with members of his Liberal Party that his government would construct more houses to meet the country's housing needs, but also further stated more jobs would be created to stabilize the economy that was ravaged by 2 years of COVID-19 and later by inflation.
Everyone agrees that it's a complex issue that requires solutions that bring together all orders of government, the private sector and the non-profit sector. From zoning to corporations heating homes as assets, to the rising cost of building supplies, there's no doubt that we all have a lot of work to do. Because more and more vulnerable people are at risk of homelessness. Middle-class Canadians who want to build equity through home ownership feel increasingly like that dream is out of reach. And now more and more renters in the housing market means rising demand is causing rent to rise for everyone. So this government is focused on getting more housing built and making sure families have places to grow.
The country has also been facing environmental disasters such as wildfires that have ravaged a record-breaking 59,000 square miles this year, forcing nearly 1 out of every 200 Canadians to evacuate their homes. Stuart Jacon, Smart 24 Television, Business Today.
Well, there you have it. That's pretty much it what we had for you tonight on Business Today. Thank you for having joined us. I'm Rwanda Habwe. Before I officially sign out, here's what topped our focus tonight. In business today, President Museveni has discouraged electricals and second-hand clothes imports, while 16 more factories are opened in Mbale Industrial Park. New Year raises red flag on substandard salt. Parliament tasks Trade Ministry to investigate as Kasita urges certification. More in business today, land grabbing cartels push Ministry of Lands and Pelham to partake rights awareness. Inclusive production and development are considered as mineral-rich areas are prioritized. Once again, thank you for having joined us tonight. See you on Monday as we unravel more business stories. And in case you missed any of these reports of business today, you could watch on our YouTube channel at Smart24 TV Live and follow on our social media platforms for more business details. I'm Randa Habwe. Good evening.
Smart 24